Welcome to Range Time. I'm your host Ghost, and today we're going to be covering some of the basic principles of shooting with a red dot now that the occlusion is available in ace and the short. If you haven't gone to the workbench in a little while since version 12.10.42, you can place your pistol there once you have a red dot equipped, and go ahead and click the little gear icon right here, and then click cover optic, and then when you pick the pistol back up, your optic will be occluded. So that's just quickly how you do it. So what we're going to do, I've seen a couple of comments around the forums with what I assume is either like a hardware issue or something, which people may be having. I can't speak to that without physically seeing what they have going on. But I think some of it's, I don't want to say a skills issue, but just you don't know what you don't know, right? If you're coming from iron sights and you're focused on that front sight post like they teach in various schools of thought and things like that, there's many ways that people are taught how to shoot. That's fine. But I think when it comes to the red dot, people assume certain things. So what we're going to do today is cover some of the basics of that, and we're going to take a look at it in the Ranger light. So we'll go ahead and go there and we'll get started. So here we are in the Ranger light. We just have the simple 5 target array in front of us, and for purposes of what we're doing today, this is pretty much where we'll stay. We might move targets a little bit, but the principles will remain the same. So the optics in ace are zeroed at a 15-yard zero, and they do actually have height over bore. So if you're really up close to the target and you fire, the optic sits a little higher than the barrel, so the impact of the round will be a little lower than where your red dot's pointing. We've demonstrated that in previous videos, but what I see some people saying is they present the gun up and the dot is not in the center. So we can see here the dot is off to the right of the optic, and now the dot is off to the left of the optic. Now it's off to the top, and now it's off to the bottom. Your head positioning matters along with your indexing. So when you present the firearm, if your pistol is canted a little to the left like I'm presenting right now, it's not my head position, it's actually my hands are torquing, where my left hand is actually pulling harder on the front of the gun. And it can be just the other way, right, too. If I pull too hard with my right hand, I can cause the gun to torque. So really they have to marry up in concert for equal pressure across it. So I've seen some people saying, oh no, my dot's not centered. Well, I really don't care that the dot's not centered. What I care about is where the bullet impacts in relation to the dot. So what we're going to do here, we're just at 5 yards. We're going to put the dot in different points of the window. And what we're going to discover is, some people say infinite parallax on red dots. It's not really true, but for our purposes, it really is. The amount that the dot shifts in the window shouldn't change where it impacts. So we're going to be aiming center of mass, this little white dot in front of us. We'll put out in front of us, the dot's going to be now at the top of the window, so my head's tilted up, and we'll put it on the white paster, let one go. Okay, so it's a little low. Put the dot at the bottom, again, right there. Put the dot to the right. We'll put the dot to the left, right there. Okay. So you can see with just those 4 shots, there's a little bit, the one where it was on the top, it hit to the bottom, and vice all around. But that's not because of where the dot was presenting. That's the infinite parallax, if you will, in the dot. Like, right? It doesn't matter that the dot was to the left or to the right. It's firing where the dot saw it was firing, based on its relationship to your eyeball and relationship to the target. That's parallax in play. Now, if your dot is presenting on the target and it's impacting, not where we're aiming, like right now, both eyes open, straight ahead. We're a little close, so of course it's going to be height over bore at this range. If it's impacting not where my dot is, so my dot's right on the white paster, if it's impacting anywhere else, then I have another issue going on, right? That's a zero change. But if you're talking about, again, we can even do it up close. We'll put the dot up high, down low, to left, or actually to the left, the right. And you can see those hits were appearing just inverse of which way we were making the dot go. But that's not because the dot's off, or because the dot's not in the center of the window. That's just how parallax works, right? And it's present. People will say it has infinite parallax and it can do that forever. No, it's present. We can see it, and we can do it in real life too. But the point is that it doesn't really matter, right? Unless we're drilling a single hole drill for whatever reason, the practical applications of the red dot, that doesn't matter. And just the same as shooting it here at 5 yards as it would be at 25 yards. So we'll actually demonstrate that. We'll go ahead and back up, and we'll set the target out. We'll go to 15. Don't worry, we'll get there. So we'll go to 15 yards. Right there. Yeah. So same thing. We'll put the dot at the top, but we'll be aiming the dot at the white paster. So dot's at the top of the window, white paster. Dot's at the bottom of the window, white paster in the center. Go to the right. And we'll go to the left. Okay. So we'll go ahead and inspect our hits. So for me at 15 yards, freehanding, that's about right. The one when we're looking up is probably the lower one, and the one, just vice versa, and then the two left and right, really no impact difference. So that's just something you can check, right? The bullet's going to impact where the dot is, but the dot in relation to the target, in relation to your eyeball, is the parallax, which is the offset that you're going to see. So practical accuracy, does that matter? No. If you're sitting here saying, oh, well, Ghost, I can sit here and drill 1-inch circles all day. We just fired a couple of shots. You're a far better shooter than me, and you have better things to do in your life, like make money in USPSA or IDPA, because that's pretty normal for me. You just saw me take 5 shots, and they're in the A zone at 15 yards, and that's fine for the speed that I was going at. So that's kind of the basics of how a red dot operates, in terms of how it relates to your eye and what you're seeing and everything. But there are a multitude of instructors available on YouTube that can talk to you in numerous ways on how to shoot a red dot, right? I'm just going to cover the very basics here. So we'll go ahead and reset our target. We'll press and hold the A button. It causes the targets to reset on the Range Ranger. And what we'll do is we'll bring that target in a little bit. 7 yards is fine. And what I want to kind of demonstrate to people is there's focusing on the dot, and then there's focusing on the target. And what you'll see is if you focus on the dot, we're going to have a hard time with it being occluded, right? One eye, I can't really tell where I'm aiming. And in the recording, since it doesn't have biocular, it doesn't have both eyes recording, you're going to see that I'm overlaying the pistol on the target, and it's blocking the target. But I'm able to see the target with my other eye. I'm fortunately cross-eye dominant, so my right eye is actually picking up the target. And when I let the shot go by being target focused, right, all my hits are relatively where I want them to be on that white paster. If I then go to dot focused, both eyes are focusing on that dot. I can't even see the target, so I think where I'm aiming is the center. A little bit more open up. I could probably prove this by swinging across in transitions and stuff a little better, so we'll try that. So dot focused now, really focusing on that dot. We'll go from this target over to this target. So dot focused. Overdrove, but that was dot focused, and then we'll do target focused. So I'm looking at the target now. The dot is appearing in my dominant eye, and the target is in my non-dominant eye. So go much more controlled in accuracy. There might be some differences there, but in terms of what I'm seeing visually, much better presentation. So do that focal shift to the target with a red dot, and the occlusion is going to help you get there because you can't see through it. So great little tool that's available in ACE now for folks. There's a lot more nuance to it if you're talking about shooting like a canted pistol versus shooting like underneath something, like ports and stuff like that. You got to be aware of the height over bore, again, how close you are to that port, things like that. But again, this video isn't really meant to cover that in detail. It's more meant to cover just the bare minimums of how we're getting involved with training with the red dot and ace and how to use the occlusion. So we're here on free range A. I just want to demonstrate something for the purposes of an occlusion, having both eyes open, target focus. The plate rack is a great example for this. So when we present the gun in the recording, you're not going to be able to see that first plate, and the plate is actually significantly smaller than the optic. So there's chances, if you're not target focused, if you're dot focused, that you're not even going to see what you're shooting at and you're going to miss. What we're going to do here is we're just going to go through the plate racks a couple of times and demonstrate like the dot focused versus the target focused and what that might look like as you're shooting along. So I'll go ahead, we'll do this on the shot timer, and just from the position here on the free range A, and I'll alternate between left and right. So for this first one, we're going to do target focused. So we'll go ahead and get our timer going. Those are both me on that target that I missed there. That's a 386. We'll go ahead and do dot focused. Can't see the plate, but yeah, so if I'm looking at the dot and not cheating myself, looking back at the target, I'm missing the plates a lot more. 566. We'll go ahead and do another run with the target focus. Ah, he's in my way. Interference. And we'll do dot focused again. There we go. I know they're relatively around the plate just based on how the plate rack is set up, so I can kind of figure that out. But yeah, just another little quick thing you can try, focusing on the target versus focusing on the dot, for those of you who are new to it. So just wanted to demonstrate here again that the zero on the optic, at least that I've experienced with all the optics I've utilized, is 15 yards. So here we are on the zeroing range. We've got, I think it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 yards. So we'll go ahead and take a couple of shots here at 15 and see how that does. We'll take some nice controlled shots. Okay. So we can see all of our hits pretty well in the A zone, very close to the paster, maybe even just slightly above, but that might be me. So we'll go ahead and shift over to the 30 yards. We'll see how well I can put a group out there. Okay, and those are all pretty well in the A zone. You know, so for practical accuracy, that's why the 15-yard zero is pretty good, because anything from the 5-yard marker out all the way to 30, A zone hits are fairly easy, I would say, in ace with a 15-yard zero, whereas other zeros might be different. So that's why that works. And you can do the ballistics calculation. You can see out to like even 50 yards. It's not appreciable for any any real target within those ranges. So that's all I have for you this time. We'll see you next time on Range Time.